Hey everybody, Luis Perez here with another tutorial for iBooks Author. And today we're going to look at how to make our ebooks really interactive by adding widgets. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the review widget because this is the one that really adds the interactivity. There are a number of widgets you can add to your iBooks in iBooks Author. So if we choose widgets in iBooks Author, we can see we can add photo galleries, videos, keynote presentations, and so on. The one that I really like for adding interactivity is the review widget because this lets you build in a knowledge check or formative assessment into your ebooks. So to add the widget, again, I'm going to choose widget from the toolbar and then review. Then you can basically move the widget so it's in the desired position on your ebook. And when I'm working in iBooks Author, I generally like to work at around 50 or 75%. That just gives me a better view of what I'm seeing in the ebook or what's going to be displayed in the ebook. So once I have the widget added to one of the pages, I'll go into the inspector, and here you want to select the widget inspector and then go into layout. Here you can decide if you want to have a title for the review widget and what you want the label to be. So I'm going to leave this set to review, and then I can change the title. You can remove the background if you want to, or you can leave that gray background in place. And then you can add an accessibility description for the widget, which I highly recommend. Now, if we go under interaction, this is where we're going to add the different questions. And you can add a question by just clicking on the plus at the bottom. And there you'll see the different types of questions that you can add. So first, let's work with a simple multiple choice question here. Under number of answers, you can determine how many distractors you're going to have. So you can go anywhere from 2, which will allow you to create a true-false type of question, all the way up to 6 options. I'm going to leave this set to 3 for now. I can come in here and I can edit the question text. And then I can also edit the text for each answer. And again, if we want to add another distractor, we can just select in the inspector, under number of answers, we can choose 4 instead of 3. And so now I can go in here and add an additional distractor. Now, the next thing you'll do is select the correct answer, and you can do that by checking the appropriate radio button. Now, the user, when they open this up on the iPad, they're not going to see the check mark here. This is just something you're using to indicate what the correct answer is. But when this is displayed on the iPad, the user is actually going to have to tap on one of the options. So that's a simple multiple choice question. You can also add multiple choice items with a picture inside of them. And so we can do the same question. And then to add the picture, we can just drag it in from the desktop. And just drag it on top of the placeholder. And there it is. Now, if you need to add the photo or the picture that you've added to the question, you can double click on it and then choose Edit Mask. And now you can use the slider to make it bigger or make it smaller. You can also move it around a little bit. When you're done, just click anywhere outside of the picture and you'll be back to editing the question. And you have options here for adding the picture either on the left or right, or on top or bottom. So let's take a look at another type of widget, which is multiple choice using only images. So now I have 4 placeholders here. And what I'm going to do is basically you drag an image on top of each placeholder. like so. Again, these are simple questions just for the examples here. Once again, you'll select the correct answer by clicking on the appropriate radio button. And then for the most interactivity, you can add drag label to target or drag thumbnail to target. So let's take a look at each of those. So first I'll go ahead and do drag label to target. And here what I'll do is first add an image that will be replacing the placeholder. And I can double click on the image, choose edit mask, and I can move that so that I can see the part that I need in my widget, in my question. Now all I need to do here is move the dots where the appropriate label would be, and then type in the correct responses. And the labels are going to appear right beneath the image. So when this is accessed on an iPad, the user is actually going to have to drag each of these labels on top of the correct dot. And then finally, another interactive widget you can add is the drag thumbnail to target. So let's take a look at that. So now what I will do here is I'll add a image that I've created with some text on it. And I want to make sure that I add that image on the correct area here, because we actually have a placeholder for the background and a placeholder for each individual item that's going to be part of the question. So I'll add it to the background. And then what I'll do is I'll move the labels so that they're in the correct location. And then I can add an image into each of those dots. The way this widget works is that when this is accessed on the iPad, the user actually has to drag the image from the bottom here, right below the image, onto the dot, and if their answer is correct, then the image will stay in the correct location. The last thing that I want to add is with regards to accessibility. And basically, whenever you have an image in your widgets, like this color swatch here, you want to make sure that you add an accessibility description. But this can be tricky sometimes because you may be giving away the answer when you write your accessibility description. So what I would recommend is previewing this on the iPad as you work, just to make sure that everything makes sense. And you can go ahead and preview your iBook even while you're working on it by going up to the top in the toolbar and choosing preview while you have your iPad connected and iBooks open on the iPad. So this will give you a sense. Once you're there, you can turn on the voiceover screen reader, go over the content, and then see if it makes sense. So for instance here, it would be difficult for me to write a description without giving the answer away. So what I'm going to do is kind of get a little bit creative here. I'm first going to make sure that I have the correct item selected from the pull down menu under accessibility description. So here I'm going to choose image, and then I'm going to add the alternative text or the description. And so this is something that I think makes sense. And so again, with widgets, you're going to have sometimes a difficult time coming up with an accessibility description that will not give the answer away. But it's worthwhile trying to make sure that these images are accessible as much as possible. Okay, so let's take a look at our widget in iBooks 2 on the iPad. And here I'm using an app called Reflection that you can install on your Mac to mirror from your iPad. And so here's the widget, and I'm going to go through the questions so that you can see how they behave on the iPad. So here's the multiple choice question, simple multiple choice. I'll just tap on the radio button for my desired answer, and then I can check my answer by tapping the blue button at the bottom, and it will let me know that that's the correct response. I can then navigate using the two arrow buttons on the lower right and lower left. So right now I'm going to tap on the lower right to go to the next question, and I'll continue going on. So here's one with a picture. Same here, I just have to select the correct swatch using the radio buttons, and at every step I can check my answer. And then here's one of the more interactive ones. I can move the labels into the correct dots. So first I'm going to do it incorrectly. I'll check my answer, and I'll see that I have the incorrect response. I can move the labels out, and now let's put them in the correct locations. Now when I check my answer, I get a check mark for each of those, letting me know that they're correct. And I'll continue doing the same thing. So this one behaves in a very similar way. I'll just drag the pictures to the correct dots and then check my answer. And when I'm done, it will give me the score, or I could start over and take the quiz again. So that's how these widgets behave when you open them in iBooks on the iPad. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you again soon. So there you have it. These are the new review widgets that are available in iBooks Author. I highly recommend that you use these widgets at the end of sections and chapters to provide a knowledge check or a formative assessment for your learners. So again, these widgets can really make your ebooks that you create with iBooks Author that much more interactive. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll be back again soon.